everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge Podcast. My name is Josh. Thanks for joining me today. I hope your weekend was super swell. You are awesome. And some kind of something and other things. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you guys choose to spend time with me and choose to talk about really cool things. And you send me great videos like the one you sent me today, like 100 of you sent me. This is Jess and Gabe. They've got a vlog, just like every other vlog couple that gets together. They go through life together, they prank each other, they talk about Q&As, do all these things that people find them interesting for some reason. I don't, it's not that they're not, I mean, I'm sure there are some out there that are really awesome to watch, but I just haven't yet to meet one. And in the past year, they've had a baby. But what's different about these people is they didn't exploit the living garbage out of their baby for views and counts. But what's different about this couple is they didn't exploit their child for views and clicks and likes and comments. They actually went the other way. I'm glad they did this podcast because they give you proof that you do not need to exploit children to continue your career on YouTube. Okay, so let's talk about it. So as I do for every new person that I cover, I like to head over to their channel and see what they're kind of all about. You know what I'm saying? And this is Jess and Gabriel, and they have 3.2 million subscribers with only 444 videos. That's actually quite crazy. Okay, that's not a lot of videos to have that many subscribers. So people obviously find them pretty engaging. They like them, whatever. Their most popular video on their channel is Our Wedding, which is 19 million views. And then other guys are floating with my wife at 7.8 million, and then We're Engaged, 7.5. I mean, they're just your standard vloggers, like influencer vloggers. They're just the same. And then obviously, wife getting her wisdom teeth pulled, can't help falling in love. They do a song. Like, it's just like there's a formula. Every single one of these vloggers, they have music videos, and what I'm finding is that a lot of people who didn't make it in the music industry will migrate over to like YouTube. Me, for example, I toured for 10 years in a band, okay? And didn't make it as a musician. I'm glad I didn't make it as a musician because that's a shit life. Let's be real. Anyway, all that to say is I do find that a trend. People who like to be on stage, to sing, who have that ability, also have the ability to kind of port that over to YouTube and become people on here as well. I find that very interesting. I'm not throwing shade at that because I actually am that kind of guy too, right? I was a person in a band. I did that. And I find that it's just weird that they all have like a music video. Really weird. Some of them shouldn't though. You know what I'm saying? Some of them shouldn't. Royalty family, I'm looking at you. But I guess so. She's from Australia, it looks like, and he's not. I guess he's American. And then they have their And you know what I like about them so far is that their top video isn't like their pregnancy video. It's not. I don't think it's in their top 10 or top 20. So if you go to the about section, there's nothing here except for they have 468 million views, which is bank. Just saying. And Jess is a singer, I guess. Let's take a look at this. Jess Conte is her name. Hey, internet. Get with it.
I forgot you. It's funny lately, all my friends see you in random places when they tell me all they can say is
okay, well, she's effing good. So she's got 2 million subscribers over her channel. She's got her own little vlog. Okay. Interesting. She's got 250 million views on this channel. Okay, so these guys are like quite successful on here. And you know what? I'm a musician. And I can tell from hearing a song for 10 seconds whether or not that girl is good. Okay, like, she's good. A lot better than, like, other people that I've heard. Vlogs and looking at you. Quit while you're ahead. So he's got 1.76 million. On her own, she has 2.3 million. And he is Gabriel Conte. That's a pretty cool logo. Oh, he's a singer, too. All right, let's take a look. 10 seconds. Ready?
Only one thing in mind. That's what good people do.
This is okay, they're talented. They're talented, man. Like, they're talented. And obviously I'm biased because I now know what I'm going to cover their video. We're going to get in here and see what they're talking about. So they got a podcast. Another thing that a lot of these couples are doing is they're buying a couple of Rode mics or some SM7Bs and they're setting up their own podcast because everybody's got a podcast, right? That's just the way it is. Podcasting is very lucrative. If you can get into it, it's just another way to create content without having to like create, go out and film, go out and plan things. They just sit down and talk. And this is actually quite a good pivot for a lot of people if you're interesting to listen to. Okay? So clearly they have people that are interested in listening to them, so they start a podcast. It's just easier to get content out, and they just sit down and have a topic, then go for it. And I love it. This is what a lot of content creators who have children should do instead of exploiting their children. But some choose to exploit the children because that's easier and it's actually more lucrative. Let's be real, it is more lucrative. So if you go back in the channel real quick here, it's all, they did, go all the way up, tell my husband I'm pregnant, we're pregnant, everything's like pregnancy. And again, I'm not really against that. They even do the unexpected rush to the hospital, the scary one. Everybody does the same. If you go through any family vlog that's in this age group, they look like they're in their early 20s, right? Go look at the content. Every single person has the telling my boyfriend I'm pregnant, telling my parents I'm pregnant, telling our friends we're pregnant. And then there's the rush to the hospital because something scary happened and, going through giving my husband pregnancy pains, and they put the things on their stomach and they do all the same thing. They all do the exact same thing, okay? And then the birth of our daughter. So the one thing I did notice is they do have a photo and a video of their daughter on here and on here, right? And then they continue through. I don't think they actually realized until a little bit later afterwards, like about 10 months ago, you're starting to see the back of the baby's head, the back of the baby's head, the back of the baby's head. So it seemed like right away they were going to show the baby to get that content. And then now they're like, we're not showing our baby anymore. So respect, but let's hear what they have to say about it because they talked about it. It starts at 6 minutes in their blog. Let's just do their intro quick.
All right, we're still trying to figure out our intro, so we're just going to say something. And then, last week we did a thing, but we need to establish a thing. And I feel like you guys need to be part of it.
Welcome to So Far So Good.
I love Australian accents.
I'm Gabriel.
I'm Jess.
And
this is where we do
welcome
life
to
together.
So Far So Good.
The intro sucked.
We'll figure that out.
Well,
You should have figured it out before you did it. I'm snarking lightly. I'm not actually, I'm just snarking lightly because that's what I do. So I think they'd appreciate it. We're snarking a little bit.
look at your shirt.
It
Your
says,
hair's covering the whole thing.
Hair is on it.
let's do life together. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, it says let's do life together.
If you're
Okay.
watching, you see that we have some spicy t-shirts on and stuff like that. But
Those are not spicy. Those are bland at best. Okay. But salt. If salt was your spice. Or water.
for another day. What is for today is you can rate this
And
video
review.
and review. Give us a review if you're listening on any platform, really.
And if you are listening on YouTube, if you could please subscribe.
Something tells me she was a worship leader. She's from Australia. The only reason I'm saying that's because from Australia, she's got the Hillsong voice. So I don't know. I like that I don't know a lot of things, and people are like, you're right. But something because remember Fish Fam? And the first video I did of Fish Fam, I'm like, this guy looks like a country singer or something. He was a damn country singer. So I throw things out there. The reason I say church things is because generally girls learn to sing in church. It's very rare. Well, maybe back in the day, because you look at all the big superstars, they all grew up in church singing, right? Still a place, if you really want your kid to become a great musician or a good singer, I honestly believe, send them to a church that has great music. They will teach your kids how to play and sing and everything else. They're very good at fostering that. Otherwise, it's very rare that you find out in public just people just singing for no reason. Church is actually a place that fosters that type of thing. Not only church, but I found that in my opinion. Some of the biggest superstars who are the best singers come from church. Just saying. So church does have some good things, I guess.
Subscribe. My voice is cracked.
And also in the comments, you can make fun of Jess for her voice cracking.
Will do. Jess.
Very, very good. So if you're new here, we have begun to start this new podcast that we started with a segment that we will start off with. The segment's called So Good or No Good.
So good or no good, and I have an interesting one for you today.
Really?
All right, let's do it.
This is really, if you didn't listen to the last podcast, this is really where I itch my pop culture
Yeah.
scratch. No,
You scratch
My
a pop
scratch.
culture itch, the reverse. But no,
I like this guy.
that's okay. It's fine.
sorry.
It's not fine. That's divorce level stuff.
All
We're
right.
just getting the bugs out. This is a new podcast. We're just getting the bugs out, you know?
So I was just reading about Blake Lively.
Yes.
We all know and love Blake Lively.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
Legend.
Married to Ryan Reynolds, who we all know and love.
Another legend.
Legend. Like, more legend.
My guy crush.
No,
Yeah, same.
There's like a few, you know?
he's up.
He's in the top
Ryan Reynolds.
three
He's
for
going to say
sure.
Ryan Reynolds and
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling.
So, lovely Blake Lively has, she already has,
She should be called Blake Lovely. Agreed? Everybody agreed? We're on that? Blake Lovely? Blake, if you're watching, you have our permission. Change your name to Blake Lovely, because you are lovely.
I guess, mixes, I didn't know this, called Betty Buzz. like, you know, like drink, like mixes.
Oh, mixers. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant mixes like mixtape.
No.
I was like, that's cool.
So
you know?
now she has come out with alcohol. She's come out with seltzers
Okay.
called Betty Booze.
Ooh.
And I was just reading about it.
Okay, I don't care about this. I want to get to the other point. Let's get to 6 minutes. Here we go.
Anyway, we love Blake over here and wish her the best. So that is the So Good and No Good of
Blake Lovely.
today.
All right. So what's this episode about? Then?
Oh, yeah.
So this episode is really interesting and something that Gabe and I have talked, I feel like, for hours and hours and hours about. I think a lot of people will find it really interesting. It is about why we don't show our baby online.
Well, we show her online, but the back of her head.
Or the side of her face. And we're going to get into all of that,
Yeah.
reasons why, kind of more deep.
Can you say that sentence one more time for me?
What?
We're gonna get to all of that reasons why.
We're gonna,
See, now if I were to say that to my wife, and I think it's funny because this is the type of relationship that they have, she doesn't find it offensive. But if I were to say something like that to my wife, my haters would go absolutely bananas. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, call the FBI! She needs to be rescued from his house." Say that's funny. If you have this type of relationship, this type of candor with your wife, I think that's recipe for long-lasting marriage. Like she might say some weird things in Australian in her own way of saying it. He makes fun of it. She doesn't take offense to it because she knows it's just like it is. That's my husband. That's what it is. So I just want to point that out, that I kind of like this banter.
we get into all of that, reasons why.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
We obviously, probably don't need to do this disclaimer, but we're going to do it anyway. We obviously are not judging anyone who does post their children online.
I do. I judge people who do that online. But you should.
I am.
Hey, yes! This guy, yes. Good. And she's like, this. I can see their relationship is very much like my wife and I's relationship. I can see it already. I can already tell because she rolls her eyes. But she's like, at the same time, I'm going to judge him too. Good. Judge
No,
him.
we're not.
Yeah, judge him.
No, we don't look down on anyone. We just wanted to...
I do. I look down on people who exploit children. And so should everybody else.
This is something that we've chosen for ourselves. We
And everybody should choose this for themselves.
have personal reasons of why, and so we're just going to share that today.
Yeah, and it's different. Every parent
No.
gets to choose the way that they parent
That's true.
their kids.
Yeah.
Yep. But there's wrong ways and right ways. We can all agree on that, right? We can all agree that there are wrong ways and right ways to parent children. Wrong way, hitting your kids. Wrong way to parent children. I don't care what anybody says. Hitting your children will never be a right way to ever parent your children. Okay, cool? Another wrong way is to exploit them on the internet without their informed consent. You're never going to get the consent. So let's just say exploiting them without consent. Let's just say exploiting. That's what I say that because I have to obviously say that. But that's a wrong way to parent your children. To give them no privacy and to expose them to predators on the internet. Wrong way, right? I'd say that's the wrong way. Also a wrong way would be like what Doherty Dozen does and buy 1,200 muffins in 1 week.
And we're not trying to,
That is their
push.
prerogative, and
Yeah.
we are trying to figure out what is best for our family and our child right now. But I do expect we will. Do you want to have more in the future?
Yes, I do.
Yeah? Okay. You heard it here first, guys.
But I also think, this is such an interesting
That ring is such an interesting expense.
topic that maybe this will encourage people, but we're definitely not trying to, push, our, what we believe and what we think.
Why not? And you really are. You're influencers. So yeah, do it. I know what they're trying to say. They're not trying to start beef with anybody because there are a lot of family vloggers. They're likely friends with some of these people who exploit their children, right? So they're not trying to be like, don't do it. I understand that, right? They got to keep peace. But I don't. So I get it. But I'm glad they're doing this because they have an influence of over 3 million on their main channel. She has 2 million. He has 1.7 million. This is responsible influencing.
We get questions a lot about this.
So without further ado, let's jump right in.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to start with our
No more ado.
concerns and get more specific of the why behind it. So we kind of both separately wrote things down. I'm sure they'll overlap, but do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Our producer told us to write 3 points each, but I wrote 4, and then on some of them I have sub bullets. So
I have
So
7,
he's 18 points in a 3-point bulletin.
you have 7.
but I won't say them all.
Okay. All right.
And I'm sure we've overlapped too.
Okay, well, one of mine, I feel like I wrote it down, I didn't say it the best way, but I said embarrassing moments.
This guy got 1030 written in his arm. I think alarms don't need to be tattooed. You just need to just tell your phone. I know it's cheesy.
This one isn't that
I forgot what he said though, because I was paying
of
attention
a
to his
big
tattoo.
deal as far as child development and stuff like that, but when you like, you know, when your family member pulls out, like, or your parent, when your family members are over, like cousins and aunts and uncles or whatever, friends from college, and your parents pull out that old VHS tape of you like running around the house naked when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my gosh. And this typically would probably happen when you're a teenager. They pull it out, reminisce on it, and you're so embarrassed. You're like, guys, don't show this to people. Mm-hmm. Imagine having that already on the internet for like a decade and people have already seen it in today's world of...
And we'll rediscover it and discover it and discover it as you move schools or you get new friends or whatever the case may be, new job, go to college. It gets rediscovered. It's not like everybody will see it, but they'll see it if they're looking for you.
Like TikTok and stuff may have gone viral already. You know what I mean? Like it can happen in an instant, and
like this video. So this is on Twitter, and her name's Dara Faye, I think her name is, and this is what she finds. This is what she found.
So I've been trying to take a break from child abuse and child exploitation stuff on the internet, but look at this video.
I'm gonna look.
Oh, really?
Well, hang on, look. I'm gonna do this one, and then I'll let you do the next one. Okay? Okay, ready? All right. So we do this one, and then we do this.
And this kid is not laughing, everybody. This kid is crying, sad, and the mom's laughing. Like, if you want to play a prank on your children, right? And you play this prank, and they laugh along, then we can all laugh. That's funny, Dad, you silly dad. Right? But if you smoke your kid in the head with an egg that he wanted to crack, and he's bawling, and you're laughing, you have zero self-awareness of what you've just done, okay? You created a core memory in that child, by the way. Kids will have these things and they will keep them forever in their brain. That kid will never forget that moment. You know who else won't forget it? The entire internet won't forget it. That girl has been forced to go quiet. Her name is Taylor. What's her name? Hillary Kilpatrick. Because of this video, she decided she wanted to go quiet because there was outrage like there should have been. But it's too late now. Already viral. I'm telling Daddy.
Hillary Kilpatrick, you wifey and mama, you Jesus follower. I'd love for
Always Jesus followers, eh?
you to explain why you felt that it was so funny that public income.
So she locked her account down, and then she messaged her and said, an egg cracking on your head is abuse. Hillary, you Jesus follower, better not spank them or spare the rod when they're bad either. And then Hillary says, oh boy, you're one of those. Yes, I hate to tell you, but we spank in this house too. And it says, people like you are the reason kids grow up to be weak. It's a joke called humor. What's the funny part? The child crying, the child saying he's telling Daddy, the mom laughing, or the exploitation online part? All of it was funny, she said. Again, I'm telling you, it's not funny if your kid doesn't find it funny. It's different when they're actually crying and they're sad. That's not funny anymore. Is it funny to you to make your child cry? That's crazy. You're a psychopath. Here's the comment I made, obviously. What's her name? And she again, doubled down until she got so much hate. Hillary Kirkpatrick. See? I'll follow her. Anyway, that's what this guy's talking about. Stuff like that goes viral is insanity. And here's the craziest thing about a video like that, is that she expected to go viral with that, to get tons of subscribers and fans because it's like, oh, my kid is traumatized. And they post on the internet not because they think it's cute or funny, because they think it's going to help them. Isn't that bananas? And that's what he's saying. That's what he's trying to avoid.
I don't know. It's hard to imagine that a child growing up will be happy that all of that.
No child will be happy with that. You're taking a decision away from them. That's like the main, that's the main crux of this whole thing too, is that you're taking this away from them. They don't get the choice. Imagine taking future choices away from your child. That's all you have to see here. You are taking a future thing away from your child. That thing is privacy on the internet.
Is out there. I guess everything that is being posted, it's just like, obviously without their consent because they're too young to do it, unless they are old enough and you've asked them. Mm-hmm. But
no.
If you think about like videos that go viral of like a baby on a toilet, or like even if they're in their swimmers or something like that, and maybe a child will grow up and be like, gosh, I really wish that video of me on the toilet wasn't on social media.
Yeah.
The other thing that is sort of similar to that topic is like, if they grow up not liking that stuff, like right now, if someone posts a picture of us now, like if a friend posts a group pic and you're like, oh, I don't like that, can you take that down? Like, right?
I think only girls do that. Guys are like, I don't even look. I don't care. Like, I've never heard a guy say, hey, can you take that down? I like that picture of myself. Never heard it. Just saying, I'm just pointing out a difference.
Now they don't have the option to have that removed.
Mm-hmm. They don't have a say in the matter.
They don't have a say in it.
Yeah.
So when I was researching...
Well, no, a lot of family vloggers will say, well, I'll ask them permission. For like a 1-year-old, they always say that. Like, I'll ask them. They always ask them if they want to be in video. None of them ask. Remember Jess fam said, I always ask my kids. And then we had her best friend who grew up, who actually like kind of lived there for a while, said she's never, ever once, ever asked her children to be on camera. Never once. So they lie.
A little bit for this episode, when I knew that we were going to be talking about this, I found an article that was talking about this in particular.
It was talking about this in specifically.
That I thought was just really interesting and like a really interesting take.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just like read a little bit. I wrote, think about the message you're telling your child to post every moment for them to grow up seeing that. Like, if you think about it now, it's so normal for everyone. If something cute is happening, even if something funny is happening, everyone's recording it. And I just thought that was really interesting to think that we are showing them that it's normal to post everything, to record everything.
You're being an example for your kids.
I'll push back a little bit, and I get what she's saying, but they post everything on the internet. They make their living on the internet. So maybe what they can say here is like, look, we know what we're saying here sounds kind of hypocritical. It's not, because we would teach our children that we do this for a living, and here's the difference between real life and this, and blah, blah, blah. They can say things other than that, but they post their entire lives on the internet, and they do it for cash. But I'm not saying that to like throw shade at them. I'm just saying, just be careful what you're saying, because you're making an argument for something, but it's got to be sound. Okay? So you're saying we don't want to normalize filming and posting on the internet, but that's your entire career. So just take that with a grain of salt.
And I think
how they're going to act in the future.
I think that can turn dangerous.
Yeah.
And I have a quote from Dr. Markham, which was in a Tiny Beans article that I was reading. And it says, quote, "It's our job to teach and model online literacy and safety. Mm-hmm. When children grow up routinely seeing photos of themselves online, they think it's the norm. Mm-hmm. We're inadvertently teaching them that they have no privacy and no control over their online image." I just thought that was really interesting and
And you know what's really impressive about these two people here? Well-spoken, they're funny, they're engaging, I like it. But it's that she's doing research into this. It's not just something like, I just decided this because it's fun, it's quirky, it's what everybody's doing. No, these people researched this and said, okay, well, after our research, we realized we're not putting our kid on the internet. And the problem is, I mean, that's a good thing, but the problem is that everybody also who is also online with their kids, Weiss Life, Jess Fam, Dr. D Does, and all these big families that are out there, they all know the dangers. They've had things happen, but they've chosen the other way. They've chosen the dangerous way, and that should speak volumes. Whereas a parent who understands this, who says, well, I've researched it, and of course I wouldn't put my kid into that situation. There are a lot of parents who said, something happened to me, so I took my kids off. They learned the hard way, but they learned. Right? They made the choice to take their kids off after something happened. That's a good parent, everybody. But those who know the dangers and keep their kids in the dangers, like, good gracious, right? Like, right?
thing that I guess was in the back of my head, but I never really knew how to voice that.
Yeah, that like says exactly what we're all thinking. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We are just setting an example.
Yeah, one of my things, I guess I could kind of lead into that, is like, all of this is kind of an experiment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, rewind to, gosh, I don't know, what's the last thing that was like one big social experiment that you kind of just had to wait? Like,
COVID. What do you mean? What? I think he's just being facetious here.
Our generation, maybe with
COVID,
social media as like the teenage years, where it's like we didn't know what the outcome was going to be like, and then now all of a sudden there's like these crazy rates of depression and all this sort of stuff. It's like, okay, now we're going through that experiment again, except kids who are born with like an iPhone in their face, essentially, or an iPad in their face, and we don't know what the outcome is going to be like. And then
no, we know what the outcome is going to be now. It's been long enough. We absolutely know the outcome. We also know the outcome of exploitation of children online. Like, not a massive amount of data, but the data that we do have, none of it is positive. So
now that goes into like the topic of kids just having like devices in their hands, but like when it comes to kind of like child stars on social media, you know, like child stars in Hollywood and traditional media has kind of already been a thing, but child stars on social media, it's still new. Like they're just now getting to their teenage years and stuff like that, and it's
turning out to hate it.
kind of an experiment, and we're not sure like what psychological damage it's going to cause or anything like that. And I would rather my child have like the tried and true way of being raised that is like doing things outside and hanging out with friends in person and that sort of like normal human interaction that's not this very new kind of untested thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to make my kid the test dummy.
This guy's dangerously close to saying something like raising my kids in a traditional setting. And that's good. Because to say that nowadays could get you some flack. I swear to God. To say traditional families are best for children would honestly get you flack. Now, I've said that and I stand by that. Traditional nuclear families are always going to be the better option for children. Now you've heard me say that. Go read the comments below. Okay? I'm not saying it's always the best because like, well, I got abused. I had a nuclear family. I'm telling you, overall, for society, it is the best option for our species to propel forward is to have the traditional nuclear family. Okay? Now, I've said it. Go read the comments.
Essentially is what I'm saying as far as like making someone a social media star.
Yeah, I do agree. And I think there is a difference between social media child stars and Hollywood child stars. I think there's a lot of similarities, but I think even...
We've talked about this at depth, so I mean, this is a long podcast. Probably going to skip some of the things that we've already heard of and everything, but look, we'll keep listening. We'll see what pops up.
Like, people listening might be like, that is not the same thing. But I think it is in the term, like, when we're talking about fame and being recognized and, like, what that does to a child mentally. And
I'll give her that, but they are different. Because, again, remember, one is protected by Coogan and education laws and child labor laws. And also, you don't know anything about their real life because they're acting on a TV show. The other one is a child star, but you know everything about their personal life, everything that's happened to them, every hospital visit, every tooth pull at the dentist. Some of them you've seen when they started their periods, when they got through puberty. And they don't have protection from Coogan laws or education or child labor laws. So there's a massive difference. But she's right about the fame. The fame is the one thing that we rarely talk about. But these kids are famous in their own right to some degree, depending on the size of their channels, and are likely targets of bullies and targets of predators.
even
More accessible to predators, by the way, than famous kids.
just like that, I feel like there's so many child stars coming out recently about their experiences. I read a book recently called I'm Glad My Mom Died.
Everybody go read that book, okay? I'm Glad My Mom Died. It's by Jeanette McCurdy. Go read the book, okay? I read it in audible in one afternoon, and it was absolutely incredible.
And that was Jeanette McCurdy from iCarly. And there's just a lot of stories like that. I agree. And again, like, I just feel like I need to preface, like, we are not judging at all.
I am.
But I do think it's really important to be having these conversations.
Yeah, we just think about...
See, she's just saying, just do your research. I don't think she is judging. I don't think she wants to be judgy. But what I think she would tell somebody who is asking these questions is, do your research, tell me what you come back with, and then what choice you make is going to matter. Because if you actually do your research, you're not going to find anything positive about the exploitation of children online. There's not going to be one positive thing that happens about raising your children on a social media platform and exposing them to the internets. Okay, there's not one good thing. Now, the good thing for the parents are they make tons of cash. They are famous and they get likes and subscribers and they get people saying you're such a good BM, right? They get all that. The child, there's no benefit to the child. And some people, they get to go to Disney. Yeah, but it's filmed for content. Yeah, well, they get to do that. It's all filmed for content. Every step of their life, every memory, every core memory, everything that they've done, every milestone is filmed for the internet, for content. It wasn't filmed because you think it's good that I should capture this because I'm a parent and I'd love to get this milestone in camera for our own use. It's I'm capturing these milestones for our fans to watch it. That's the difference.
the way we think about it, and we're trying to make the best decision for our child. And but back into the fame thing, I do want to, like, obviously there's a difference between like the Hollywood fame of a child star and the social media fame of a child star. Like,
not really much. Not really much anymore. I think that depending on the size of the channels, there's not that much because a lot of these child actors are on social media. So I don't think there's much of a difference. And in some cases, some of these vlogs get more views than like iCarly or all these other shows on it. Like they get tons more and make way more money. So, to some degree, they're exposed even more to like people. So, you know,
way less control of your image, way less control of the things you're in. You can take advantage of way more in like the Hollywood scene. But just from like the fame aspect and like being out and about, there has to be some sort of like developmental thing that happens when a child grows up their whole life being recognized by strangers.
Yeah,
it will for sure create this like
narcissistic person
thing of them feeling like this like mental, I don't know, normalcy in their brain that they think that they're like the center of the world and everyone knows who they are, even if
narcissism.
They don't know strangers know who they are because they're more important, and it can cause like I feel like it will eventually cause a lot of like pride issues and just issues with
our life. Perfect example of this.
Feeling, you know, self-important and all that jazz, you know?
I think too this conversation is interesting for us because we have this as our job, and us posting Micaiah would be giving her a platform, whereas if you have like 200 followers on Instagram with a private account, I think it's very different.
Yeah.
But we are kind of like merging both conversations just because that's like the nature of our lifestyle.
Yeah, that probably we should put that asterisk there.
Yeah.
But there's a difference though. There's people posting their kids to share with their family and friends on a private account, not for the sake of it going viral, versus like there are parents out there who like are trying to grow a following on the backs of their kids
and making money doing it. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Which can be dangerous. Also related to child stars, I feel like I've heard so much about child stars that support their family and that creates such an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something completely different that we're getting into. Another note that I wanted to say that I think is very obvious is that the more you post your child online, the more like a risk of harm or like danger is coming to them.
Yep.
I was reading another thing.
I wrote that. That's a point of mine. Stalkers and creeps.
It's the only point you need. I mean, there are lots of other points, lots of great points we can make. But this is it. Okay, this is the most important point and the only one you should ever need. If you approach someone and says, hey, if someone knows that their kid is going to be in a position of danger, you don't put your child in a position of danger. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's danger all around us. I get that. Going on a car ride, that's dangerous, right? There is inherent danger in just living as humans, right? But if there's an avoidable danger, really avoidable, like, I mean, predators, right? Would you really put your child in that position and be like, well, I gotta live your life? No, you don't. There are some dangers that you have to accept, and you have to do it to live your life. There are some that you don't, right? Like skydiving. That shit's dangerous. I'll never do it because I might die, right? And I'll be fine without doing it, right? The exploitation of children, same thing. There is no other conversation you need to have. That's the only point you need.
Yes.
Point 2.
Should be point 1.
Point 3 and 4, and just like this flow of conversation. But point 2, we're now point 2, which is point 4 now.
Yeah, I had a feeling that you would have this too. But there was an article that said that 86 children were kidnapped using social media in Japan in 2021.
What?
And I just think that is so important. If you are sharing, first of all, I think, yes, what you're saying about creeps is that, like, if you're posting your child at the beach in swimmers or something, like, there are creeps online, unfortunately, and I wish we didn't have to, you know, change what we do for them to cater for them, if that makes sense, but they're just there.
To add to that point, she's right. I wish we didn't have to do this, right? But it's a reality. Because creeps exist, and the government doesn't do shit about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, California, they, like, diminished the laws for people who do stuff to kids. Like, people, like, the overarching power dynamic in the world is for child exploitation, not against it. Okay, the highest echelons of power partake in this. Do you know what I'm saying? Epstein exists because of that. So the highest echelons of power who could change this dynamic in the world by funding the eradication of it would never. I know that's tinfoil hat, but I don't give a shit. That's the reality. It's absolute reality, because if it wasn't, if people were as passionate about me or these people who are out there fighting all this stuff, if they were as passionate about it, it would have already been eradicated, or like at least had major protections put in place. Social media itself wouldn't allow children on the platforms if they cared, right? So there are ways to eradicate this stuff, but they won't ever do it.
I wasn't planning on doing this, but should we go into like what that one creep that was like photoshopping photos of you?
What?
We can.
What?
I think it's a very real example. But basically,
Holy shit.
I
What?
didn't think we were going to share this.
See, and he's like, I'm glad they are. But this is the danger of this. This is what they're about to tell us is probably something crazy like AI technology took pictures of her and probably photoshopped her in naked bodies, blah, blah, blah. It happens to a lot of creators. AI has made that so possible and so easy to do that you could take your favorite creator, put their face on a porn video's body, and then you can share that with people. That's how easy this is, okay? But most people in this world of family family vlogging will not tell you these stories because they know that if they tell you these stories, that the only conclusion you come up with is that you obviously don't give a shit about the safety of your family. That's it. But they're about to tell you.
But here we go. Do you want me to? So essentially, how did you see this? Did you just open the DM from this guy?
I think a follower told me first, actually.
Oh yeah, that was it. So a follower sent Jess a DM saying like, "Hey, there's a guy sending photos to your followers of you and you being Jess and Sophia, my sister,
Inappropriate pictures.
inappropriate pictures that he took real photos and then photoshopped."
I think maybe she sent me screenshots and then I went to my DMs with that same profile and they were sending them all to me too. Very, very gross.
They were disgusting.
Yeah.
And this is happening, guys. AI has made this. And think about the emergence of AI. Creeps have had access to AI in these types of programs for years before even mainstream media got a hold of it. Right now, I can go and look on my phone and access it from wherever on these open source platforms. Anybody can do it now. Anybody. Creeps have been doing it for years because they are always trying to find ways to get what they want. Right, and that's these creeps. Like chomos and predators are very good at technology. They're the ones who adopt it first. To be honest with you. Whenever new technology emerges about something like this, guess who gets a hold of it first? The Disgustoids of the world, the Pornhubs of the world, everybody. Whenever it's something, I don't know if this is true, but I think I saw it in 4-Year-Old Virgin. I'm not sure if that was where it was, but the adoption between HD video and Blu-ray, the Blu-ray won out because that's the one the porn industry chose. I don't know if that's true, but as soon as something comes like robotics happens and it becomes more viable to use and buy, guess where it goes first? Yeah, you're thinking it right. And you're not gross for thinking it. Sex robots. That's where it'll go first. Whatever can be disgustingly pulled from these new technologies, it will be done first. They're the first people who will corrupt it. Now, it's not made sometimes intentionally to be that way, but it's the way it usually goes. And so they're telling you something that really happened. This is the real danger of it. And this is happening a lot. And it's going to get to the point where you're not going to be able to tell. Okay? It really, and almost is there now.
So they were photoshopped pictures of us on the beach, even us just like fully
hanging out.
clothed. Like they photoshopped onto very inappropriate pictures. And unfortunately, I don't not believe, does that make sense? I don't not believe that wouldn't happen. Whoa. To kids as well.
It does happen to kids. Absolutely, it does happen to kids. It's more hidden because they can't put it on the internet because it's still illegal. If you're taking the image of a child from a family vlog and putting it on Child P, it's still illegal. Okay, so thank God, but it's absolutely happening. But could you imagine opening up a DM and seeing yourself photoshopped into something like that? Like, what would that do for your heart? What would happen to you? Everything would just fall apart for you. There was a Twitch streamer who went on who was just crying her eyes out because this happened to her. Someone made a video of it. Right? This is crazy. And it's happening a lot more than you think, and it's going to continue to happen. Because these disgusting people who are in these threads on Reddit and all these stuff, and on the dark web and stuff like that, they're doing it en masse and more and more and more and more every day. It's not going to go away. It's only going to get worse. And nobody seems to give a shit, especially the people in charge. Right? The upper echelons of power could shut down the dark web if they really wanted to. But they don't. Why? Why wouldn't they shut down the dark web? It's interesting. I wonder why.
You don't doubt that it would happen.
Sure.
There we go. Yeah, that same exact thing could easily happen to,
Yep.
photos of our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there who would do that sort of thing. So it's
There are people who do that, not who would. It's already happening. 100%. And the most famous babies and the most famous toddlers, the most famous children and teenagers are the ones this is happening to because no one cares about some random kid who's not famous. I mean, I don't think. But it makes sense that the most famous ones would get the most traction because they could sell that stuff. The more fame that they have, the more at risk they are for something like this. and they don't have a choice when you put them on the internet.
Like, and maybe we have experienced, because of the nature of our job and stuff, we have experienced like this crazy degree of strange weirdness and creeps, and like at our wedding someone threatened to like show up and try and kill me.
What?
Like stuff like there's like we've experienced really crazy stuff. So like obviously we are going to be very careful.
And so they've had the experiences. And you know that family vloggers like Jess Fam, like Weiss Life, Doherty Dozen, freaking Tara Henderson, all the people I talk about, and all the ones I don't talk about, all of them have experienced something like this. Okay, they all have. They all have, and they've known about it, and they won't say anything. They can just continue on like, but they'll say the excuse, well, I can't let that stop me from making my bank. I can't let that stop me from my career and blah, blah, blah. If your career is exploiting children, though, you can let it stop you. That should be a wake-up call. Like, if you want to put yourself out there to be, and that's true, I get the same thing, too. I've been threatened with being killed lots of times. People told me I killed and R'd somebody in Alaska at one point. Right? I have people looking for my address. I have people saying that I have people that live near you, and like the threatening, outwardly threatening me and stuff like that. Again, I choose to stay on this platform because I'm not going to let that stop me because my message is important. But if your message isn't as important, But again, I'm also wary, and I have good situational awareness. I know I'm always looking around. I've always done that my whole life anyway because I grew up paranoid, because I grew up shitty. And I hope, someday some might try something and they're going to regret the moment they tried something. But all that to say is that some people can't do that. Some people don't have that ability. But when it comes to your children, if something ever happened to your children because of the fact that they're on the internet, then you got to reassess that. But some of these people, those children have hundreds of thousands of predators because they're on the internet. It's just the way it is. And these people know it.
Probably compared to someone who has a private account just with their friends and family. It's very different.
So different. But I still think it's very important. Like, I don't doubt that there wouldn't be a creep on a 200 follower account. Like, they unfortunately are everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think if you are posting,
or the kid apocalypse, whatever you call it, on YouTube, that like all kids channels have the comments turned off still, even to this day, after that happened years ago, from like all these creepos posting like timestamps in the comments for...
No. They used to have the comments turned off. YouTube Kids stuff has comments turned off, is the things what he's confused with. But family vlogging also, anything with a minor in it had comments turned off, and YouTube reversed course on that. That tells it's everything you need to know about social media. YouTube reversed course. They made the right choice to protect kids and reversed course.
Like all the other creepos that go in and freeze frame kids videos of like these kids in vulnerable positions.
It still happens.
Like someone, a kid dancing and does a split, and then, creeps put that timestamp. It's like gross.
It is gross.
It's disgusting. And it's prevalent. Mm-hmm.
It's still prevalent. Big time. Even worse now that they can take the image and voice of your child and turn it into any video they want. That's how, so that they used to comment and do the timestamp stuff. Now it's way worse. And you've given them all that content to use. It's crazy.
Prevalent, and it's out there, and it's online, and we just don't want to be putting our child like in that position, The
last thing that I had as my concern, and this was one of the first ones that I like ever thought about, with this being our job, obviously it's a blessing, but there comes a lot of negativity with it, a lot of backlash, a lot of hate, whether it's like, people like pinpointing what looks bad about you, people like hating on your character. There is so much negativity that comes from this job. Mm-hmm. And I think my main like purpose with all of this is to protect Micaiah from that. Like, imagine if we posted her and we're vlogging with her and doing all of this, and then in 10 years time she can read all of it and goes back and like sees all this really harmful stuff about her.
That's a really good point, and I don't think I've ever touched on that because there's so many great points. That's a great point. I forget her name. Jess. Jess, amazing point here. Look at Doherty Dozen, for example. Okay? Now, I know Alex is a teenager and he probably doesn't mind, but if you go to TikTok and just type in Alex Doherty, do yourself a favor and read the comments. Look at the videos. Those kids are getting bullied. Not just Alex, James, all of them. All the kids are being bullied. All the kids are being bullied in comment sections everywhere, and Alicia doesn't do anything about it. right? One of these days, these kids are going to grow up. One of these days, they're going to see the content that's put out about them. They're going to watch these videos, and they are going to see that stuff, right? And that actually is like really scary. I didn't even think of that before. I mean, these kids are going to not only have to deal with the ramifications of having no privacy, but they're going to be like, these millions of strangers knew everything about me and also left shitty comments about a child. That's not going to do. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how thick your skin is. That's going to hit you, man. Especially if you had no choice in it. It was out of your control.
Just makes me feel terrible. So,
I mean, it's hard enough for us as adults to handle it.
yes.
Yeah, all I'm saying is it's hard enough for us as adults to kind of like really understand what our identity actually is in truth versus what social media comments are saying about us, and having that like differentiating that is so hard emotionally already as an adult after we've had a whole childhood and life leading up to our adulthood where it's been our identity is like, you know, connected to God and our family and, you know, all the rest, where we don't want to have a child who from the age that she can read go back onto social media and start having her mind kind of warped around these opinions about her.
I think it could be really unhealthy.
It's so dangerous, yeah.
With our brains formed like at the age that they are now, we can't handle it, and I think we shouldn't expect our kids to be able to handle that too.
Good point. Have you guys ever been doom scrolling, like all of us do, and get massive amounts of anxiety from doom scrolling? It happens to me. And I'm so stupid that I'm just like, oh, maybe it's just something else. But it's that. It's the thing that you're doing. It's the scrolling on TikTok and Instagram and everything else and Twitter. And it might not even necessarily be doom scrolling, but you might just be scrolling through so many different opinions and you're just getting inundated with 10-second, 15, 20-second videos and it's changing. The next one is changing. If you're wondering why I get anxiety, put your phone down for like a week. Imagine, I think everybody should do this, and we do this when we go on vacation and stuff like that. Phones away. Try just doing it for like, I know people call it phone fasting, and it's probably really smart. Maybe once a week, 24 hours, you're not your phone fasting. I'm not saying don't go without your phone because it's something that we live as a society now. It's just the way it works, right? But do try to fast and see what it does for your mental health. Imagine you had the ability to literally not go on the internet or on your phone for 30 days. The hard reset that would happen to your body and your mind would actually be mind-blowing. I understand that we are directly connected to technology and it's not going to stop, but I also realize that taking a fast would probably be really, really good. That's why I'm like, let's bring the asteroid, right? Let's shut down all the grids. Let's go back to living in Little House on the Prairie. I say that now, and I think that'd be great, but I think most of us would die.
And they don't even have developed brains yet or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. It's a lot. The rabbit hole goes deep.
I feel like that was
checking my smoked sausages. And they're smelling good. Smoking some Italian sausages. Excited.
so negative, and I really hope we're not like scaring people.
No. Scare people. Sometimes it takes that. I mean, a lot of people have made their choice to not put their kids on the internet anymore because they were scared of something. That's okay. It's okay to be scared of something. And it's okay to... And the thing is, if you react to the fear because the fear is your children getting hurt, that's a healthy reaction to that thing. So yes, scare the shit out of people. Yes, educate them. But the education of this is scary. That's the reality of it. So you're not getting around that.
Because I feel like that was kind of heavy to talk about.
Context as far as like even going farther back to like we had kids a lot later than like a lot of other YouTube couples and stuff, and we kind of just saw what other people are doing before we had kids. And we were having conversations even back then of like, oh, when we have kids, like, how would we want to do it?
I'm going to push back a little bit, just not in a snarky way, but they did it exactly the same way as everybody else did it, by the way. Because of the videos, the content they created of the pregnancies and all these things, you know, the scares and the pranks and the telling everybody. It's identical. It's a carbon copy of what everybody else did. So I hope the next conversation is, we did that, but when it came to the birth, then we changed everything. Because I don't care if you exploit the pregnancy of kids. Like, if you want to show the kids being born, whatever, you want to show the first... I wish you didn't, but, I mean... It sucks, but every kind of newborn looks identical. It's not like they have, like, you can't put a picture of me as a newborn up and be like, that looks like you. Not really. So I kind of understand that, but at the same time, you know, it's just, you wrestle with it.
Back then, like, we probably would be posting them. I just think as the years have gone on, more research has come out, more, like, conversation has happened about this topic. I don't know. Do you agree?
I agree completely. And guess who changed it all? Guess who changed it all for everybody? Micah Stauffer, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, it's Micah Stauffer changed this whole game. Nobody was really even talking about it to the level we're talking about right now until after the Micah Stauffer thing happened. And I'm not saying I'm that person, but everybody was covering Micah Stauffer, okay? Every big creator, everybody was covering her. That's where I cut my teeth on YouTube. So I was the smallest creator talking and had the smallest amount of videos on it, or the smallest place, right? But Micah Stauffer changed it. Everybody woke up after Micah Stauffer. And now the conversation is like snowballed into like major creators, into a cottage industry, like a whole bunch, TikTok advocate, and a whole bunch of other creators are out there like me doing this. It created a whole industry. So that's a good thing. It's a net positive of what Micah did, but still we're not there because people will still do this. We're going to cover a family probably in the next couple days. I forget their name. They're like they're 12 years old. They're telling us now how they're going to exploit their children. They all know how dangerous this is, but they're going to try to explain to us what it's all about. Sophie or something. We'll see.
I feel like we wouldn't.
I do agree. Yeah, I do agree. But also, like, I get it. It's hard vlogging your life and then not showing your kids. Because if your kids are part of your life, unless you're vlogging about something completely different, like, you know, I leave for work every day and like I'm at the office and all my vlogging is at the office and that's it, and I don't show my family.
You can tell this guy doesn't work a day in his life. I'm just saying it. It's funny to listen to these young creators who literally have never actually worked a proper job, which is fine. Say, you know what, I go to the office and I go in there and vlog. You've never been at the office.
It's a completely different story than like us as a couple trying to vlog without our child, but like we need to take care of our child 24 hours a day, every single day. So it's like, what are we going to film if it's not about...
And what did they film?
The family, if that makes sense. So one of the solutions that we came up with was that we are not going to make videos about her or videos in which she is the main character, but it's more so our experience as parents.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like still there and part of it in a way, but we don't show her face.
So I'm just going through their content real quick, and I think this is what they pivoted to, doing this. 11 days ago, things are changing, huge announcement, we've been waiting 2 years for this, and then they started a podcast, which is a good pivot. And new baby name, how many kids, and Taylor Swift catch-up Q&A, 21-hour flights, jet lag with a baby. So they still vlog. I think what I wanted to do initially with this family was talk about how you could still do family vlogging, quote-unquote, without showing the kid's face, without exploiting them and all that stuff. I think that they're doing that. Like, it's a good example of how you can do that. Things we wish we knew before having a baby. It's the back of the head. Flying to LA with a 9-month-old. They still have the baby in the content, but it's not about the baby. The baby's not making the money, maybe? I don't know how to say that. But I think this is, if you're going to do this, if you're going to have your kid in it, this is a good example of how you can do it. And not showing their face is really, really one good thing you can do. I mean, it's almost fail-proof. It's not fail-proof, but it's a good option. You know what I mean? If you're not ever going to show your kid's face on the internet, that is great. Then that kid's face won't be on the internet. Now, will they grow up still on the internet? Possibly. But as long as you're not exposing any embarrassing moments, I mean, if you're not showing their face, then you're obviously not going to show any embarrassing moments. They're just going to kind of be in there with you, but it's not about them. I can go with that.
It's more so about our experience as parents rather than making her the, like, protagonist of the story, I guess you could say.
I would say we are still working through what we are comfortable with and like trying to create this balance, because this is such a big part of our life and our job that we love so much.
Yeah.
So I think like the way that I always like to say it is that it's our job and it's not her job, and like I want to keep doing my job because I love it.
Great point. It is your job. It's not your children's job. And I've said this a million times. It's not your child's responsibility to make you money either. And you're creating a dynamic that should never exist, because the dynamic of a child making the money and being the breadwinner is bad dynamic. Okay? Because those kids are going to grow up to hate you, because you're going to take the money that they created, that they are owed, and they don't get it. And they're going to see that one day and be like, where's my money, bitch? And you're not going to have their money because you spent it on Disney. But you might say, well, I took you to Disney and I had food. No, again, there's never going to be a good enough explanation or excuse to say, well, that's how we live this lavish lifestyle. So you liked it, So we had to, no. That was on. That's not on. That's, if you ever say that to your child, if you ever said something like that to your kid and you're a family vlogger, you could go ahead and kiss the inside of my colon. Okay? Okay.
And we are so grateful for it, but I don't want to force her into it and force her into like having this as her job, and she doesn't really deserve that.
Is it specifically for parents like doing social media or just parents in general?
Just parents.
Okay.
My number one tip, if you can, would be keep your profile private.
So not us.
I know, that sounds so silly coming from me.
This is what's called self-awareness, right? And this is the thing that changed with me and Abby, right? Abby having that self-awareness and saying it on the internet. Nobody wants to hear our problems. We're millionaires, right? Exactly what she's saying. It's called self-awareness. So I'll allow it, right? This is important to have self-awareness. Yes, I make fun of people who are ugly and weird thumbs and have big foreheads. Also knowing that I'm a potato who's ugly with a big ass forehead, okay? That's called self-awareness. So it's important to have that. But she's saying, if you want to protect your kids, here's what you should do. I can't because I make money on the internet, but I like it.
A public account, but I just think if you kind of do want to go down this path of like, I want to post my child, but I don't want to have like creeps looking. I think first of all we need to say that. No, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
What? You have to say it now.
Yeah, you got to say it.
I just want to say that just because you have 200 followers in a private account and it's people that you know doesn't mean that, unfortunately, one of them may be a creep. Is all I'm going to say.
No, lots of them will be creeps. Especially, if you have millions of followers, thousands, if not tens, and I'm even going to say hundreds of thousands of them could be creeps. Okay, there's men following children's content. Why? The traditional role of men in society is not to follow kids on the internet, especially Everly LeBrand. If my wife came in, saw my Instagram following, right, and I'm following a bunch of children, I would be like, but if my wife's following a bunch of cute kids and their families, I wouldn't blink an eye, right? Why would dudes be watching children's content? I mean, I know there are women predators too, but let's be real, okay? It's like 98% men who are the predators. Let's be real. And I'm not diminishing that there are women predators out there. Okay, I'm just saying that the reality of this is that if you know the back-end analytics of your channel and a lot of it's about your children or the whole thing is about your child, and you notice that there's a large following of men, why would you keep that shit on? Why would you do that? But that is the reality, everybody. We're allowed to speak in reality still until we're not. So I'll continue to do that.
So I don't think you're like fully protecting them.
Agreed.
Keeping your profile private is you have more control over who sees what.
Yeah.
The second thing is communicate with family and friends on boundaries, which is something that Gabe and I still do, and we have chats with family and friends about like, oh, we don't post her, or pretty much we have people show us the photo first if they want to post something.
Yeah, and the rule of thumb is just like don't show the front of her face.
And a lot of family might get a little upset at that, right? And it might feel like, oh, they're being pretentious. Or I used to have friends like this. I had friends like this who are still my friends. We were hanging out with a popular hockey player back in the day. Went to his cottage. It was great. And they got engaged. It was a great party. And I remember this moment because I was taking pictures because I wanted to like where I am. I'm at this famous hockey player's house, blah, blah. And they're like, don't post, blank, make my face out. Don't post on social media or anything. And it's because this person's a teacher and just didn't want that, us dancing or having a good time. She just wanted it. And I was like, why? And again, this was like, guys, 15 plus. This is years ago, like 12, 15 years ago. Okay. And I was like, why? But now I look back and I'm like, that person is smart, way ahead of her time. And I'm the same way. Just don't post pictures of my kids. And there's an opportunity to educate them. Why not? Well, and I'll tell you guys why. It's not because we're being pretentious. It's because we are social media, and social media is dangerous. And go watch That Challenge podcast. It'll tell you what it's all about. And that's a perfect time to educate people on why you don't want to post your kids. And you don't say, hey, you guys do what you got to do, but I'm telling you, it's a dangerous place. And that's why we don't do it. Boom. Perfect opportunity.
Yeah. Hey, we don't post them in swimwear. We don't post them nudie Rudy. Things like that. I think it can just be your boundary.
I like that. Nudie Rudy. Don't post some Nudie Rudy.
In general. We don't post their school uniform, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I say school uniform, but some schools over here in America have school uniforms.
Yeah, private schools.
Yeah.
I wore a school uniform for 2 years. But school uniforms in Australia are like
different.
Down to like the socks, and you have a bow in your hair, and you have to wear hats all the time.
Okay, anyway,
What's
this
that
is
about?
a separate conversation.
She's my wife. Like 100%. This is like...
Anyway, the weirdest thing is that when you leave school, if you're going to stay in your school uniform, it has to be all done up completely. If you like go,
it just keeps going.
Go to dinner or hang out at the mall or something
You're
like
like
that.
representing the school. Anyway, separate topic.
Gosh, it just grinds my gears. Like, what happened to like dress how you want? Like, oh, I'm leaving school. Let me take my hat off.
Okay, tip number 3.
See, I like them. I like them.
I would just say,
I like this guy.
if your child is old enough, ask their permission. Just be like,
Yeah.
if you take a cute picture, hey, do you mind if I put this on my Instagram? I just think there's no harm in.
Now, let's quantify that or qualify it, whatever. Okay. How old? Now, I mean, this is going to vary between the kids because my 10-year-old is very mature. And if I said, hey, took a picture, do you mind if I post this on our private account? I would take her word for it. I honestly believe that. She'd be like, yeah, I don't mind that. It's going to vary, right? But at the same time, do take into consideration age and maturity level of that child or teenager, right? So I get it.
Asking if they're old enough to like understand what that means.
Yeah, no, I agree because it also teaches them like asking someone for permission.
Consent is everything.
Before posting something on social media is like normal.
You know, we drove into our children like things like just walk away or like, you know, don't worry about it, don't be ignorant, all that kind of stuff. As children, we were drilled into things like, you know, who cares what people say or whatever. I don't know what we were drilled into. I didn't have any of those things, but it's different. Now what we should be drilling into our children is absolute consent in every way. You don't want to be touched. That's your consent. Your consent is everything. Someone home? Your consent is everything, right? So that's what we should be drilling. So if you are asking your child, I'm not saying like consent to feeding your kids vegetables or like, you know, some of these vloggers are gonna be like, consent to like going to the beach when I was young. No, I'm saying consent to certain things that could affect their future. Like posting an image that they're not going to want out there later. That is a really, really good step to teaching your children about consent. A really, really important one.
It's a good thing, you know? Yeah, I like that. Is that all your tips?
That's all my tips. I know that they're simple, but it's just like...
It's simple, but it's like you kind of don't think about it, and when you verbalize it, you're like, oh, yeah, those are actually solid. Like, we should do that, you know?
The conversation for us is still ongoing. It's like, will we ever post her? And we get so many questions like that too. Will we ever post Makai? Will we ever vlog with her?
And the fact that you're getting so many questions about that should give you pause for you to say no, because you're asking questions like that. This is not your child. Why do you want to see a strange child on the internet? What is it to you? That will never cease to amaze me that people are like, strangers on the internet, when can I see your child? Why do you want to see someone's kid? What is it to you? What is that going to do for you to see someone else's child? What is wrong with people?
Yeah.
Will we ever let her have a phone?
Never.
Ever.
No, she's 21.
Never, ever.
Not until she-
Like 16 minimum, depending on the maturity age of your child. Okay, never. And if you're going to give your kid a phone, cool. No social media until you're 18. And I'm not joking. I don't care if all their friends are on it. I don't care. I don't care how mad they get at you or they hate you and stomp up to the room and slam the door. I don't care. Then you go up there, gently knock, can I talk to you for a second? The reason I don't want you on social media is because boom, 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 go watch this video that Dad Challenge made for teenagers. This is why. It's dangerous to be on the internet, okay? We want your brain to develop normally. We love you. That's why we don't want you on social media. Everybody, and I'll say this, I don't care. Those friends of yours that are all over social media have parents not watching them, their parents don't love them very much. That's what I'll say. We love you with the fierceness of a lion, fire. I love you so much. And my desire is to protect you with every fiber of my being. And one of those things I do to protect you is to keep you off social media because I know the dangers of it. And obviously, you're not going to understand that right now. You're going to thank me when you're older. You're welcome. And she'll like, she still doesn't have I don't know you. And you're like, fine, I said my piece and I love you. Okay, conversations are important. These are teachable moments. Never let your kids on social media, everybody. Never on Snapchat, never on TikTok, never on Instagram, never on Twitter, never on Facebook. Okay? Stop allowing your kids on social media, you dumbasses.
He's 37 and a half.
How do you feel currently about... like how we are showing her / not showing her? Do you think that will change?
I don't know.
Just say no. If not, take her off more. Don't put her on there anymore. Don't say that. Don't leave that open. Don't do it.
We're not there yet. I don't know what that'll be like.
Don't leave it open.
I can't say definitively. Like, there's certain things that I'm excited for. Like, I'm excited to teach her how to use cameras, how to edit videos, how to, you know what I mean? And, like, have her learn skill sets of skills that we've developed. And
That's smart, actually. Kids can edit your videos. It's my videos.
become really good at over the years. And then even have her help with the family business. You know what I mean? If that's something she wants to do, if she's like really into editing and she's like, I want to edit, and it's like, okay, all right.
Or like behind the camera setting up lighting.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that, like learning how to light stuff like that.
Well, these two are singers, right? My wife and I are singers. Same thing. Everly's an amazing singer. Westy's an amazing singer. I would love for my daughter to express her singing and write music. She wants to write music with Dad. That's our time together. We get to write music. We get to cover songs. Something I want to do with Everly. But I'm so scared that she's going to want to like pursue that as a career, and I don't want her to pursue that as a career. Right? I don't want my kid to be famous. And I'm not saying she's so good she can be famous. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you never know. Right? And I don't want her to like drive for that. Does that make sense? So many kids out there, if you ask them what they want to be now, they're like, a YouTuber. No, dumbass, go to school, do a trade, do something else, do YouTube on the side for fun, sure. Okay, but that can't be your main drive because it's like 1 in a million this happens. I got lucky. Most people got lucky. Not everybody's going to get lucky. It's 1 in a million to do what we do here, okay? I'm not going to say don't do it, but I'm going to say be careful. Right? And choose something else. But I would love for Everly to continue to sing. And what they're saying is right. Maybe she sings with a pseudonym. Right? It's not her real name. Maybe she's putting content out there. You never see her face until she's old enough to decide whether or not she wants to be the person that was behind the music. Put it out there, and if she wants to share it privately with her friends, so be it. Okay? I'd still love that for her. I still want her to pursue the arts and do the things that's going to be awesome. But so many people want to pursue the arts and these things because they want to do it for social media. That's dumb. Do it for the love of it, but don't do it for because you want clout and fame. That's never a good reason to do something. Okay, I mean, depending, right? But do it to get better at it and to master a craft for sure. But don't do it because you just want to be a social media famous person, like this person who cracked an egg in her kid's head. She thought that was going to help her, and thank God the world is changing because that doesn't help anymore.
I think it can get tricky when it becomes a business, and then
okay, so kind of just repeating stuff. This thing's getting way too long. I just wanted to cover some of the main stuff, and this is a great video. These people are actually brilliant, okay? And kudos to them, high five. They've made a choice. Now, they haven't gone completely the way I would, right? No kids at all on social media, just be safe, but I get that. But again, there's no, like, everybody's like talks that I'm always black and white, there's no gray. This is kind of the gray. This really is. Like, if I had my choice and I could force them to do something, I would say don't show your kid ever, right? Or don't show their name or whatever, you know what I mean? But at the same time, there is a reality we do live in. And if that's going to be your reality, then this is probably something you could model yourself after, right? Not showing the front of the face, maybe just a side profile sometimes, being careful with who's posting what on there, probably not telling a lot of personal information about your child, like when they go to the hospital, all that stuff. I hope they don't do that. Right? Because I don't also want them to think that, just because I don't show my kid's face, that I still can't show the hospital visits and the dentist visits. Don't do that either. Right? That's what I'm hoping that they're getting at. But this is a good idea. If you think vlogging your family should include your kids, then this is a way to do that. They're in passing. It's not about them at all. It's about you, but the kid's there. Like they sing traveling with a 9-month-old, blah, blah, blah. I understand that, right? But it's not about the kid, it's about them traveling with a 9-month-old. And they don't show the face. So if you're going to do this, at minimum, please don't show your kid's face. Don't allow the predators to have access to your kid's face. Okay? That's one of the big ones, and I think that's a great idea because they've experienced that thing themselves and they understand the danger of it. And so that's really, these guys are good. Jess and Gabe, good for you too. Excellent. You probably don't like me. Not a lot of family vloggers like me. I get that. But good for you. A lot of people are like, Josh, call it the good ones. Get the good ones on. And sometimes, it's really good to do these videos, to find the good ones. And I've done a couple. There was Cam and Fam. She had a change of heart, and she's brilliant. I love her take on the way it is now. She's good at what she does. She explains it very clearly. She's very smart. Just the bells. I had her on. Great conversation. I still, to this day, have great conversations with her about this thing. She sometimes will message me and say, like, what do you think of this? And this with my kids and all this stuff. And we have great conversations. She's open to hearing about that, and she's willing to listen. And so we have great conversations about that type of stuff and the content that she can do that's going to make her awesome. And I think that she's great, right? There's a lot, these people, great stuff. I think Matt and Abby, kind of on that same path. I hope they delete all the other stuff, or like change it or blur it or whatever you have to do. But I think there are some certain people who have their brains kind of on, who are waking up to this kind of stuff, and they have my respect. Not with Matt in his short shorts and all his rings, but Abby for sure, because I know that she's the one who wants to change that. But Matt's reluctantly, grumpily scooching along with her. And I like that, right? It means that he respects his wife and her wishes. So I begrudgingly respect them for that. That's great. So people like this, the more that they do videos like this, the more Matt and Abby's, the more Cam and Fams come out and speak on this in the gentle way that they do. Don't get me, because I know that you can attract more bees with honey, and I don't want bees. I'm afraid of bees, okay? No bees. So I repel bees. But I love that these people are out here doing this, and more people should do that. If you have this idea of how you're going to do this, make videos about it. Let people know. Let this be the way this happened. Let this become like the popular way of doing things. And then you can get the kudos that you're looking for anyway, right? You're getting that. You're searching for it anyway. So if you do a video like this and you choose not to show your kids anymore and you get a few haters saying something, you don't want those people in your circles anyway. Why the hell would you want someone who's like, oh, F you, I'm here for your kids? Well, there's more reason to take them off. Dingleberry? No thanks. All you're doing when you see comments like that on these family vlogs who've taken their children off, when you hear those comments, all you're doing is solidifying that their choice was made properly. That's all they're doing. They're just making it, okay, you're right. Now that I see what people are here for, I'm glad I did that, because look at these comments. But for the most part, your followers will be respecting you more. Because you read the comments, you're like, thank God you're doing this. Thank God this conversation's happening. Kudos to you. Props. And that's what I'm giving these people today. Jess and Gabe, you guys get good parents of the day. I had to change the graphic up a bit, but good for you guys. Honestly, truly, thank you for doing this video. Thank you for influencing in a proper way, for taking your platform seriously and responsibly. Okay, and you guys both have great voices. Teach your kids to sing. For real, do it. I love it. Gabe, you want to go on tour, man? I'm setting up a tour with all these guys who want to go on tour, so we'll go play some music. Like, I'm down. Seriously down. There's lots of great musicians out there who aren't exploiting their kids. Wouldn't that be cool to put a band of YouTubers together? Oh, that'd be fun. I mean, I'd be the lowest, but it'd be cool. Anyway, I'm saying that because I miss touring. Anyway, that was a great video. Thank you guys for sharing that with me and making sure that I covered it, because a lot of you really wanted me to, and I appreciate it. And I think that's a really, really good video. Lots of great points. Everybody take a deep breath. Thank God parents out there are waking up. Thank God. And it just doesn't happen without great conversations that we have and other creators are having too. Really, really good work we're all doing out here. And I think if a lot of these people are honest, and maybe they're not. And I think a lot of these people are honest, they would tell you that they were influenced by people like TikTok Advocate and the Dad Challenge podcast, and like Mom Uncharted and all that kind of stuff. And I hope we are. I hope we are influencing you to wake up to this whole thing. And I think it's working. And it's great, because Illinois passed a law, and we're going to talk about that in an upcoming episode. So thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being amazing. Thank you for just supporting this channel and for watching it and sharing and laughing. I really appreciate you. I don't know how I tell you every day, and I mean it every day, right? I just can't do it without you. My voice isn't as loud as it is without you being here. You guys are often my therapy too, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for being incredible and amazing. And don't forget how valuable you really are. You need to be here, and I will see you when I see you.